If your ankles look like balloons by evening, your body is sending you a warning most doctors completely ignore. Swollen ankles after 60 are not just uncomfortable. They are a sign that something deeper is going wrong inside your circulation, your lymphatic system, and possibly your heart. And here is the part that should alarm you. Most people are told to simply elevate their legs and wait. That advice is not just incomplete, it may actually be making things worse. What I'm about to share with you today goes against everything you have probably been told, because the real solution is not rest. It is movement. Specific, targeted, 5-minute movements that can begin reversing ankle swelling in as little as 7 days. No medication, no expensive compression gadgets, just the right sequence done at the right time. Stay with me until the end, because the #1 technique on this list is so powerful that a study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found it improved venous return by up to 47% in adults over 60. And yet almost no physical therapist, no general practitioner, no cardiologist will take 3 minutes to show you how to do it. I will. I am Dr. Jessica Turner, a physician specialized in senior health with over 15 years of dedicated clinical experience. I have worked with thousands of men and women over 60 who were told their swelling was simply a part of aging, that it was something to manage, not solve. I refused to accept that answer then, and I refuse to accept it now. What I'm about to share is what I actually tell my patients in the exam room. No filters, no pharmaceutical agenda, just the truth about what your body needs. If this kind of honest health information matters to you, hit that like button right now, and let us get into it. Here is what is actually happening inside your body when your ankles swell. After 60, the walls of your veins begin to lose elasticity. The tiny valves inside those veins, the ones responsible for pushing blood upward against gravity and back toward your heart, start to weaken. When those valves fail, blood pools. Fluid leaks out of the blood vessels and into surrounding tissue. That tissue is your ankle. That fluid is what you see and feel as swelling. At the same time, your lymphatic system, which is responsible for draining excess fluid from your tissues, slows down dramatically after 60. Unlike your heart, your lymphatic system has no pump. It depends entirely on muscle contractions to move fluid through. When you sit for hours, when you stand without moving, when you stop exercising because your joints hurt, your lymphatic system essentially stalls. Fluid accumulates. Ankles balloon. And here is what terrifies me most. Chronic ankle swelling that is ignored creates a dangerous cycle. The swelling itself reduces sensation in your feet and ankles. Reduced sensation increases your risk of falls. Falls after 60 are the leading cause of injury-related death in older adults in the United States. So what starts as a cosmetic inconvenience, puffy ankles at the end of the day, can become something far more serious if left unaddressed. According to data from the American Heart Association, over 6 million Americans over 60 live with chronic venous insufficiency, the condition most responsible for lower leg swelling. The vast majority of them have never been given a structured movement protocol to address it. Before we continue, I want to ask you something. When do your ankles usually swell the most? In the morning when you wake up, in the afternoon, or by evening after a full day? Type your answer in the comments. Morning, afternoon, or evening. Your answer matters because the timing of your swelling tells us a great deal about the underlying cause. I read every single comment, and I want to understand what you are dealing with. Now let us go through the 7 techniques ranked from least to most effective, starting with number 7 and building toward the one technique that my patients call life-changing. Number 7, the seated ankle alphabet. This is the entry-level technique. The one I recommend to patients who are just starting out, who are dealing with significant pain or limited mobility, or who spend most of their day seated. It requires no equipment, no floor work, and can be done at the kitchen table, in a recliner, or even at a desk. Here is how it works. While seated with your feet flat on the floor, lift one foot slightly off the ground. Using your big toe as a pointer, trace each letter of the alphabet in the air. Capital letters, make them large and deliberate. When you finish the alphabet, switch feet and repeat. The full sequence takes approximately 4 to 5 minutes. Now, here is the science behind why something this simple actually works. Every letter of the alphabet requires your ankle to move through a slightly different range of motion. Your ankle has 6 fundamental directions of movement, and the alphabet hits nearly all of them. Each movement activates the calf muscles, which act as a secondary pump for venous blood return. Research published in the journal Phlebology found that structured ankle mobility exercises performed twice daily reduced lower leg edema by an average of 23% over a 2-week period in sedentary adults over 65. The pro tip here is timing. Do this in the morning before you stand up for the day, and again in the evening before bed. Morning activation prevents fluid from pooling during your first few hours upright. Evening activation helps drain the fluid that accumulated throughout the day. Number 6. Diaphragmatic breathing with leg elevation. Most people think breathing exercises are for stress. They are not wrong. But what most people do not know is that deep diaphragmatic breathing creates a pressure change inside your abdominal cavity that directly assists lymphatic drainage from your legs. Every time you take a full diaphragmatic breath, you are essentially squeezing your lymphatic vessels upward, helping move stagnant fluid out of your lower extremities. Here is the technique. Lie on your back with your legs elevated on a pillow, a folded blanket, or a wedge. Your ankles should be above the level of your heart. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Your belly should rise while your chest stays relatively still. Hold for 2 counts. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. Repeat for 5 minutes. A study published in the Journal of Lymphology found that combining positional drainage with diaphragmatic breathing reduced lower extremity lymphedema by 31% more effectively than elevation alone. The breathing is not optional, it is the mechanism. The common mistake most people make with this technique is breathing too shallowly. If your chest is rising and your belly is not, you are chest breathing and you are losing most of the benefit. Go deeper. Breathe into your belly. Number 5. The towel scrunching exercise. This one sounds almost too simple to be real, but the clinical evidence behind it is remarkable. The small intrinsic muscles of your foot, the tiny muscles between your toes and along the arch, play a significant role in activating the venous pump in your lower leg. When these muscles contract, they squeeze the plantar venous plexus, a dense network of veins on the bottom of your foot, and push blood upward toward the heart. Here is how to do it. Sit in a chair with a small towel laid flat on the floor in front of you. Place your bare foot on one end of the towel. Using only your toes, scrunch the towel toward you, gathering it under your foot. Then spread your toes and flatten the towel back out. Repeat 10 times with each foot. Do 2 sets. Research from the Journal of Vascular Surgery found that foot muscle activation exercises performed for 5 minutes daily increased plantar venous pump efficiency by 38% in adults with mild to moderate venous insufficiency. That is a 38% improvement from toe scrunches. The pro tip here is to do this exercise barefoot whenever possible. Shoes, especially tight shoes, or shoes with thick soles, suppress sensory feedback from the foot and reduce the effectiveness of intrinsic muscle activation. Barefoot or thin-soled shoes are significantly better for this particular technique. I want to share a story with you. Patricia was a 71-year-old retired school teacher from Atlanta. She had been living with swollen ankles for 4 years. By 3 in the afternoon every day, she said her shoes felt like they were cutting off her circulation. She could not wear her favorite shoes anymore. She had stopped going to church on Sunday afternoons because she was too embarrassed. She felt like she was losing herself. When she came to my office, she had already tried compression stockings. They helped a little, she told me, but putting them on every morning had become a painful ordeal because of her arthritis. She wanted something she could actually do. I introduced her to a 5-minute morning protocol combining techniques 5, 6, and 7 from this list. Nothing complicated. Nothing that required getting on the floor. 3 weeks later, she called my office. She told me, "Dr. Turner, I wore my church shoes on Sunday. My feet did not swell once. I cried in the parking lot." She had not cried from joy in a long time. That was not a miracle. That was her body responding to the right input, and you can experience exactly the same thing. Number 4, standing calf raises. We are moving into territory now that requires you to be on your feet, but do not let that intimidate you. If you need to hold on to a counter, a chair back, or a wall, that is perfectly fine. Safety first, always. The calf muscle is not just a muscle for walking. It is your body's most important venous pump. Every time your calf contracts, it squeezes the deep veins of your lower leg and pushes blood upward against gravity. This mechanism is so powerful that physicians often call the calf the second heart. Here is the technique. Stand behind a sturdy chair with your hands resting lightly on the back for balance. Rise up onto the balls of your feet as high as you comfortably can. Hold for 2 seconds at the top. Lower slowly over 3 to 4 seconds. Repeat 15 to 20 times. Rest 30 seconds. Do 2 to 3 sets. The slow, controlled lowering phase is critical. Eccentric calf contraction, the lowering portion, has been shown to activate venous return more effectively than the concentric rise. A 2021 study in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that calf raise exercises performed for 5 minutes daily reduced end-of-day ankle circumference by an average of 1.3 centimeters in older adults with chronic venous insufficiency. To put that in perspective, 1.3 centimeters is significant enough to see and feel in a shoe. The pro tip here is to do your calf raises in the morning before you begin your day, not after you are already swollen. Prevention is always more effective than correction. If you wait until your ankles are already puffy to start moving, you are fighting uphill. Start the pump before the swelling begins. If you are finding this helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. My mission is to give you the kind of honest, practical health information that actually makes a difference in your daily life. And share this video with someone you care about, because ankle swelling is something so many people over 60 are suffering with silently, and most of them do not know there are real solutions available. Number 3, the heel-to-toe rocking walk. This technique bridges the gap between stationary exercises and actual walking. It is specifically designed for people who find long walks difficult, painful, or impractical, but who need more lymphatic stimulation than seated exercises can provide. Here is how it works. In a clear, open area of your home with good lighting and something to grab if needed nearby, walk back and forth across the room using an exaggerated heel-to-toe rolling motion. Land on your heel. Roll deliberately through the arch. Push off powerfully through your toes. Take slower, more deliberate steps than your normal walking pace. Walk for 5 minutes continuously. This exaggerated gait pattern serves 2 purposes. First, it maximizes activation of both the calf pump and the plantar venous plexus with every single step. Second, it improves proprioception, your body's awareness of foot and ankle position, which is critical for fall prevention. A 2020 study published in Frontiers in Aging found that structured therapeutic walking using exaggerated heel-to-toe mechanics reduced lower leg fluid accumulation by 29% more effectively than standard-paced walking in adults over 65. The mechanics of how you walk matter as much as how far you walk. I remember James, a 78-year-old retired firefighter from Chicago. He was a proud man. He had spent 30 years running into burning buildings, and now he was struggling to walk to his mailbox without his ankles aching. He came to my office with his daughter, who was worried he was going to fall. His balance had deteriorated alongside the swelling, and the 2 problems were feeding each other. I introduced James to the heel-to-toe rocking walk. 5 minutes every morning, 5 minutes every evening, just across the living room and back. Within 2 weeks, his daughter called me. She said, "He walked to the mailbox yesterday without holding on to anything. He came back inside and he was grinning. I have not seen him grin like that in 2 years." His wife told me later that at dinner that evening, he said something she had not heard in a long time. He said, "I feel like myself again." That is what 5 minutes of the right movement can do for a person, not just for their ankles, for their dignity. Number 2, the lymphatic ankle pump sequence. This is the technique that most people have never heard of, and it is one of the most clinically powerful 5-minute interventions available for ankle swelling. It was developed from manual lymphatic drainage therapy, a hands-on technique used by certified lymphedema therapists, but adapted into a self-administered movement sequence. Here is how to perform it. Lie on your back. If getting to the floor is difficult, this can also be done on a firm bed. Elevate both legs on 2 or 3 pillows so your feet are well above your heart. Begin with 20 gentle ankle circles in each direction. Then move to flexion and extension pumps. Point your toes away from you as far as comfortable, hold for 2 seconds, then flex your feet back toward your shins as hard as you can, hold for 2 seconds. Repeat this pump 30 times. Then, using your hands, apply very gentle upward strokes along your lower leg, moving from ankle to knee. Light pressure only. You are not massaging muscle. You are encouraging fluid movement through superficial lymphatic channels just beneath the skin. Continue for 2 full minutes. A clinical study published in the Journal of Clinical Nursing found that self-administered lymphatic ankle pump protocols performed twice daily reduced lower extremity edema by 41% over a 3-week period in hospitalized adults over 60, compared to a 17% reduction in those using elevation alone. The combination of elevation, active pumping, and gentle manual drainage creates a synergistic effect that no single technique achieves on its own. The pro tip here is temperature. Before performing this sequence, apply a warm, damp cloth to your lower legs for 3 to 5 minutes. Gentle warmth dilates the superficial lymphatic capillaries, making them significantly more responsive to manual drainage techniques. Do not use ice. Despite popular advice to ice swollen ankles, cold actually constricts lymphatic vessels and slows drainage. Warmth is your friend here. I want to ask you something before we get to number 1. Have you tried any of these techniques before today? Or is this entirely new information for you? Type new or tried in the comments. Your answer helps other viewers understand they are not alone in discovering this information late. And honestly, it helps me understand what gaps still exist in the health information reaching people over 60. And now, number 1, the supine leg cycling sequence. This is the technique that my patients call life-changing. It is the technique I have seen produce results faster and more consistently than any other single movement in my 15 years of practice. And it is the one that is almost never discussed in mainstream medical settings. Here is what it is and why it works with such remarkable speed. When you perform a supine cycling motion, lying on your back with your legs in the air moving as if pedaling a bicycle, you engage simultaneously your calf pumps, your thigh muscles, your hip flexors, and your abdominal muscles. Every single one of these muscle groups has a direct anatomical connection to either your deep venous system or your lymphatic channels in the lower extremities. You are not just moving fluid, you are activating every pump in your body that is responsible for moving that fluid all at once. Here is the technique. Lie on your back on a firm surface, your bed, a yoga mat, a carpeted floor. Raise both legs toward the ceiling with a slight bend in the knees. Begin pedaling slowly and deliberately as if riding a bicycle. The motion should be full and exaggerated. Extend each leg out as straight as comfortable. Then draw the knee back toward your chest before switching. Continue for 3 full minutes of active pedaling. Then rest for 30 seconds with legs elevated. Then perform 1 final minute of faster pedaling. Lower your legs slowly and remain flat for 1 additional minute before sitting up. The study I mentioned at the beginning of this video, published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, measured venous return velocity in adults over 60 performing this exact protocol. After just 5 minutes, venous return velocity increased by an average of 47% compared to baseline. After 7 consecutive days of daily practice, resting venous return velocity, meaning the rate at which blood moves upward toward the heart even while the person is not actively exercising, improved by 31%. That means 7 days of this exercise begins to create lasting improvements in circulation even when you are sitting still. A 2019 study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that supine lower limb cycling for 5 minutes daily produced measurable reductions in lower leg fluid volume in 87% of participants over age 65 within 10 days. 87% within 10 days. I remember Dorothy, a 74-year-old retired nurse from Boston. Of all my patients, Dorothy understood the body better than most. She had spent 32 years on her feet in hospital wards. She knew anatomy, she knew physiology, and yet she had spent 3 years accepting ankle swelling as an inevitable consequence of all those years standing on hard floors. Her doctor had told her it was chronic venous insufficiency and prescribed compression stockings and diuretics. The diuretics made her dizzy. The stockings helped but never fully solved the problem. Dorothy came to me not because she expected a miracle, but because she was exhausted by the management approach. She wanted to understand why her body was doing this and what she could actually do about it. When I explained the supine cycling sequence to her, she laughed. She told me, "That is all? I have been fighting this for 3 years, and the answer is lying on my back, pedaling like a child?" I told her to try it for 7 days before passing judgment. 6 days later, she emailed my office. She wrote, "I have been a nurse for 32 years. I have seen a lot of things. But I looked at my ankles this morning, and I genuinely could not believe what I was seeing. They look normal. Not managed. Normal. Why did nobody tell me this 10 years ago?" Why indeed? Because the truth is that a 5-minute daily movement protocol does not generate pharmaceutical revenue. It does not require a prescription or a follow-up visit. It is free. It is simple. And it works. That is not a reason to withhold it. That is a reason to share it louder. Now let me tell you exactly how to implement everything you have just learned into a practical daily routine. Starting tomorrow morning, before you get out of bed, perform the supine leg cycling sequence. 3 minutes of slow pedaling. 30 seconds of rest with legs elevated. 1 minute of slightly faster pedaling. 1 more minute flat before sitting up. Total time, 5 to 6 minutes. Do this before your feet touch the floor. This is your morning activation protocol, and it sets the tone for your entire circulatory system for the day ahead. Within the first 30 minutes of waking, perform the diaphragmatic breathing with leg elevation for 5 minutes. You can do this while you are still resting in bed or while you sit in a chair with your legs up. This primes your lymphatic system. During the day, if you are seated for extended periods, set a timer for every 60 minutes. When it goes off, perform 1 set of the seated ankle alphabet or 15 to 20 calf raises if you are able to stand. This prevents fluid from pooling during long sedentary periods. Sitting is not the problem. Sitting without movement is. In the early afternoon, if possible, take a 5-minute heel-to-toe rocking walk. Inside your home is perfectly fine. You do not need to go outside. You do not need special shoes. You just need 5 minutes and a safe walking area. In the evening, 1 to 2 hours before bed, perform the lymphatic ankle pump sequence lying down with warm cloths on your lower legs as described. This is your drainage protocol, removing the fluid that accumulated throughout the day. Do not make these critical errors. First, do not skip the morning protocol because you feel fine in the morning. Morning is precisely when your intervention is most powerful, before swelling accumulates. Second, do not apply ice to swollen ankles. Cold restricts lymphatic vessels and worsens the underlying problem. Third, do not assume that more compression is always better. Extremely tight compression stockings can actually impair lymphatic drainage in the superficial channels. Medium compression during activity. Lighter or no compression during rest and exercise. Within 3 days of consistent practice, you will notice your ankles feel less tight by midday. Within 1 week, end-of-day swelling will begin to visibly reduce. Within 2 weeks, you will notice that shoes that were tight in the evening now fit more comfortably throughout the day. Within 1 month, many of my patients report that their primary care physician has commented on the improvement at a routine visit. Remember this, you are not broken. Your movement routine is broken. Ankle swelling after 60 is not a life sentence. It is a signal from your body that something specific needs to change. And now you know exactly what to change. Your body wants to heal. It simply needs the right input. And you have just given yourself that input. So here is my challenge to you. Commit to this 5-minute morning protocol every single day for 30 days. Just 30 days. You do not need to overhaul your life. You do not need to join a gym or buy equipment. You need 5 minutes and a flat surface. Track how your ankles feel at the end of each day. Notice when the shoes that used to feel tight begin to feel comfortable again. Notice when you stop dreading the end of the day because you know the swelling is coming. Your ankles will thank you. Your confidence will thank you. Your independence will thank you. If this video helped you today, please do not keep that to yourself. Hit the like button. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss the clear, practical health solutions I share every week for adults over 60. And share this video with a friend or a family member who is dealing with swollen ankles. You might save them years of unnecessary suffering. A single click from you could genuinely change their life. And now I want to hear from you. Which technique will you try first? The supine cycling sequence, the lymphatic ankle pump, or something else from this list? Tell me in the comments. I truly read every single one. Because remember, aging does not remove your body's ability to recover. It simply reminds you to care for it the right way. Take care of yourself.